At the end of this video, I'm going to offer my take on why NIO Stock could go down further in the short term, and it's probably going to be linked to overall market or broader volatility if it happens. I'm also going to reference and share high-level experts who will go more in depth on these things than I could. But I, in essence, want to share some of my research. Now, I'm long-term with my views, so initially I want to share some links and some people and some things that are in line with that, the long-term. This take from Ivy is one that I retweeted. And so if you haven't seen it, please check it out. I will put all the links to everything I talk about in the description. So just go down below. Also, if this video goes longer than 8 minutes, I will try to create some timestamps, some chapters basically to make it easier for the viewer. It's for your convenience. So if you don't have time or don't want to watch all the way through, you can pick and choose based on the topic or link as I share them throughout the video. So a couple of points that I would like to make as China pivots and moves in the direction of NEVs, is what they call them, new energy vehicles. This take from Ivy, who attended the NIO event just recently, was she offered a lot, not just about NIO. And so that's one thing that is nice as an outsider, as an American who is unlikely to go to China. I appreciate seeing things like this, especially as I think the future, at least in China and at least part of the rest of the globe, is moving in this direction. And so with that in mind, also seeing and noting that Tesla is losing market share in China, not just because Tesla is perhaps a little outdated with their models, but more importantly, I think the competition in China is a lot better than a lot of folks outside of China still have realized or have yet recognized. So let's move on now. The next piece, also related to the future, this is NIO's first sub-brand, and it's a little teaser. I haven't retweeted this one. I did like it, and maybe I'll retweet it later on. But it was just kind of cool to see this. This is Onvo, is the first sub-brand that NIO's coming out with. The L60 is the model they're testing. They're going to start their deliveries in September of 2024. So obviously wanted to share that. Again, in line with sort of the big picture overview, this is part of the long-term take that I have, is this sub-brand. And then the other, even more affordable sub-brand that will be coming along later. I'm very excited to see these come out. I think globally they can have a big impact in furthering NIO's expansion across the world. How about this one? If you didn't see it yet, I got over and I checked it out. I gave it the like. Of course, this is Marty and Obi talking again. For those who haven't seen him, it's a good take. Marty's very knowledgeable. He goes pretty deep in some of his research. And Obi is one of the original NIO content creators I was watching back before I was doing any content. So shout out to him for continuing to do work. I see he's up to 7.7 thousand subscribers. I think his goal is to get to 10,000 in 2024. So who knows? Maybe somebody will see this, go over there, check it out, like what he's got, and support him by subscribing. But I'll, again, share these links. So don't worry about it. Just go down below and check them out as you choose or as you have time. Now let's talk about this. And it's funny because I'll probably go off on a bit of a tangent, but there are some things in the US that we still have not seen play out. But this is me and my channel, a little bit of a summary: global market awareness, profitability, BaaS, battery as a service. These are the three things. They're the first three major growth phases as I see them for NIO. And I typically have them at the bottom of the screen on my videos because that's the view that I have. And for example, this is long-term. I have it right here. NIO is a long-term investment for me. The long-term for me, the short end of the long-term would be once we have seen 1 million cumulative NIO sales. That's just the premium brand, because back when I set this as kind of a target or goal, that I didn't even know they were going to come out with sub-brands. So I'm thinking in terms of what does the company look like after they have done 1 million cumulative vehicles. Now, for a date and timestamp on this, it's August 8th, 2024 as I record this. And at this point, I think NIO has done 560-ish thousand. So we've got probably at least a couple years to go. It's either 540 something or 560 something thousand. Anyway, point is, I'm still giving it more time. That's my take. I want to briefly highlight this because there are some things that no one's talking about in the real estate sector. And that's actually what I did back in the day during the GFC era, 2008. There are some of my expectations, and it's weird because 2008 and 2024 are both election years. And there have been some things lagging and delayed and backlogged on the real estate side of things. But one of the things I'm expecting is more bank failures, and maybe those aren't published. Maybe it's more like a merger acquisition quietly. A bank takes over another one so that they can avoid maybe some of the fear that would come out if more people become aware of some of these. So that's something I'm watching for. Also, more commercial real estate losses, especially if the interest rates don't come down. I'm not going to get in depth on that. I just want to highlight it. And then here's the other thing. Tax and insurance hikes for real estate are probably still lagged at this point. So I think that's going to apply more pressure on the average consumer. I have contacts personally who have recently complained about these things going up. And what's crazy is last year I was mentioning to some of these same people that this is something to watch out for, that it's going to be a problem when this comes in and starts. It really hurts the average consumer and homeowner across the United States. So I do think it matters, especially into 2025 and then beyond. This is also a factor that it's really hard to get clarity on with what this means or how this will play out. This is also one reason I don't necessarily expect a real estate crash like what we saw back in 2028. And that's this. One important factor I haven't seen anyone speak on is the incredible lag on residential foreclosures now versus the 2008 era. In 2023 and 2024, and I only had half the year's data so far for 2024, the average foreclosure time, it took about 850 days. Folks, that's almost 3 years. It's over 2 years for a foreclosure to actually take place. Versus back in 2007 and 2028, the average foreclosure time was about 150 days, much shorter. So the problem is, I don't think we really have any clarity what true inventory is looking like or will look like. So I don't know. That's just one of those things that's in the back of my mind, and I'm watching. With that in mind, wondering how market volatility, and now let's talk about more the short term and how this could shake out in 2024 beyond. This is a high-level expert who, Michael, it goes way beyond what I could share. I just followed him on Twitter, but I'll share this video. There are a couple of queued up things that he says that I want to share, and then I'll share both links so you can check those out for yourselves.
I remember very well in 2007, 2008, the carry trade being one of the reasons why in 2008 you had the great financial crisis.
Now, the comment by Michael, that really struck a chord for me when I heard him say this. And here's the thing. Michael was calling and talking about this yen carry trade as an issue, I believe, a full year ago. And a lot of people ridiculed him for it. And now, and it's funny, he even joked about how it seems like everyone's an expert now after the fact, but he was looking at it and concerned by it a year ago. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to share his content, because again, this is like someone who is seeing things kind of early, in my mind anyway, in this instance. Now, here's the other piece that I want to share from him. So hang on one second.
That's why I keep saying I think the bigger main event is still coming in, maybe a few weeks here.
There's even a time frame for us right there. Even within the next few weeks, we could have more craziness from this yen carry trade crisis. So he goes way more in depth in these interviews than anything that I could share or offer, which is why I wanted to share it, essentially some of my research. But now let's come back to NIO, because if the broader market has volatility, this is one of the things that I've also had in mind. And I recently have talked about it in videos. I've extensively talked about it over the last few years as I've been studying it. Fails to deliver the FTDs in NIO Stock. We've seen a recent spike with these of almost 3.5 million on a single day. That's when shares couldn't be located. And so it could be representative of naked shorting that's going on in the US market. I've also found and shared recently in videos about NIO with in the European markets, where again, some of those markets allow naked shorting, but it actually gets shorted through ETPs at a triple leveraged or even 8x leveraged point. So I'm just like, okay, well, it's so hard to even know what's actually going on. Even this data here is delayed. We never get real-time access to it. So when I see a spike of the fails to deliver here, and then back a few months ago, I talked about this one, an over 5 million spike. And now if we look at the full history of NIO Stock, the white lines, by the way, represent fails to deliver when they couldn't locate shares to be traded. And so it is possible there's naked shorting going on. And what I think is pretty obvious is the correlation between the stock price, which is represented in the yellow, moving up when the fails to deliver drop off. And again, if you look at the recent, we've got obviously a perhaps suppressed, but certainly a downtrodden stock price at this point, with an increase and elevated fails to deliver spiking. This is one of the things I want to keep in mind. Also, along with that is, and I'm watching the volume, for example, today, 20 million shares traded. Let's see what the day ends up. Again, it's August 8, 2024 as I record this. But one of the things that we saw during this time frame where the NIO stock price really ran and the fails to deliver dropped off is we had an average trade volume of probably 80 million or more shares traded on average every single day. So with lower volume, it's easier if there is predatory shorting going on for there to be price suppression. And I don't think this is exclusive to NIO. In fact, in the playlist that I've covered, I've shared a lot of content from a lot of high-level experts, and some of them are talking about and working in and with other stocks or CEOs. So this is a problem that has been in play for many, many years in Wall Street. And so the thing is, short term, what am I watching for? My thinking is really simple. We had NIO stock pushed down to about the $3.60 level, and that's about as low as it's been in a year now. If you look at the stock price and the history in the chart, and you see we're coming down to those levels where this was before the big run up. But basically, once we get below that $3.60 level, I'm just not sure where it goes. However, I do think that kind of areas where I'll be watching if we get broader market volatility that ends up seeing almost everything go down. I would expect NIO stock to go down, especially knowing there are some fails to deliver out there now. Conversely, and this is where things get really interesting, is what we saw off of these really high fails to deliver was when they dropped off, NIO stock did take off. And so I almost wonder if we won't see something like that, maybe even in the near term, near future. So it's almost one of those, yeah, I think NIO stock's going to go down. Oh, but it'll probably go up. I mean, trying to predict that and call that is so hard, especially, again, when we consider there are these broader market issues across the globe. There's stuff going on across all markets that we aren't privy to. We can't see even this data that I can see. We have this elevated spiking with the fails to deliver for NIO stock, but at the same time, this is delayed data. We never get it real time. And so I just want to have the awareness that I can to then, make whatever decision I choose to as an investor. It's your money. You got to do whatever works for you, whether you're in NIO or not, or doing something else. I wish you the best. Not a financial advisor or attorney. I rarely say that because I put it right down at the top of my videos underneath the description. So hopefully it's obvious. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm just sharing some of my research in this crazy journey of life along the way, always trying to learn and study and grow and improve. So happy to be able to share some of this, and let's see what happens. Drop it in the comments. What do you think? Are you concerned about NIO stock in the short term? Are you long term? What are your expectations? Do you think we will have broader market volatility? If so, do you think NIO drops? Do you think it goes up? Do you think we see a short squeeze? Do you think the release of Onvo or some other fundamental thing will have a positive impact on NIO stock in the short term? I don't know. It's anybody's guess, but I wanted to share a little of what I'm thinking and watching. And if you haven't, I normally don't even think to ask this or mention this, but on the channel, there's a notification button. If you like my content and you're a subscriber and you want to get notified when I drop a new video, you might want to click that button, the notification bell, and then hopefully you will know right away in the future when I drop a video. So thanks, and I'll see you all again very soon.